Single people of Reddit, why are you single? Story 1. My wife left me a year and a half ago. I only recently started thinking about meeting someone to start a relationship again. I haven't actually taken any steps towards trying yet, though. Story 2. I'm not dating anyone until I get my shoot together first. Unless someone trips and stumbles into my life as I am, by some miracle, I will not actively be seeking out partnerships of any kind. Story 3. Avoidant personality, too independent, afraid of change, ugly, zero self-worth. But I like long walks on the beach if that's your thing. Story 4. I'm below average looking, have little money, no self-esteem, am afraid of rejection. I don't know where to even begin looking for someone. I'm an idiot. I'm a failure. I can't feel emotions. I feel like I could go on, but this is probably an okay list to start. Story 5. 32F and never been in a relationship. Earlier, I was really focused on studies. Later, I realized it's hard to get along with anyone now. Story 6. Relationships are hard work, and I just don't have it in me right now. Not in a bad way necessarily, maybe one day, but being 34 and after 2 long-term relationships, those beginning stages just sound exhausting to me. I would rather have my peace for a while. Story 7. If I were to be completely honest, I've been scarred enough with flirting that even the slightest hint of a rejection or someone out of my league reaching out to talk activates my fight or flight instinct. Story 8. Because nobody really wants to love nowadays. They just want a premium subscription to a new intimacy. Cuddle, money, validation, attention, entertainment differs based on the person. Package which they plan to discard anytime a new better plan takes steps in their lives. So it's not worth my sincerity, care, and love. Answer. This. I think a lot of people don't actually want a relationship for the person. They want it as a means of status and validation. That, and it feels more and more like showing sincere interest in someone, is seen as desperate. It's like 2 people in a race of, let's see who can give less of a shoot, because showing up for someone is actually cringe and not at all the basis for a healthy, functional relationship. Story 9. I don't want kids. I don't like the sort of hobbies that would let me meet new people IRL, and I'm stuck with the face I've got. Story 10. A combination of introversion, low bank account balance, a seriously messed up GI tract. I'm not going to go into detail, but I spend way too long in the bathroom. Borderline Asperger's syndrome, or it would be if that was a thing when I was tested for autism at the Kennedy Krieger Institute in the mid-90s. I tested just above what today would be the cutoff, and a love of reptiles, invertebrates. And no, I'm not trading my pets for a girl. Story 11. After my last ex, I decided I had to lose weight before I got back in the dating game. Finally got to where I wanted to be. Suddenly found another reason to wait a little longer. Lol, to be continued, I guess. Story 12. Try a long-term relationship and find out. Lots of divorced people swearing off relationships forever. Story 13. I work, I go home, I sleep, repeat. I keep picking the wrong people to crush on. I'm kinda liking my peaceful, drama-free life. Story 14. Because he's not over his ex-fiancée, and he's in New York until mid-October. Oh yeah, and he's straight, apparently. Story 15. I have friends, family, and so on. It's incredibly unusual that I go too much time without talking to someone, but I'm also comfortable in a stretch of genuine silence. Story 16. Well, I would say 2 things. 1, I am ugly. 2, I want to date to marry, not just a fling, premarital anything. It's really hard to find that these days. Story 17. Well, because before I didn't take the hints, and now that I understand them, I don't know how to act and I stay paralyzed. Not knowing how to act, I'm 20 and I've never had a girlfriend. Story 18. I could have a partner if I wanted to, LOL, but romance seems boring. Never cared as a kid, and much less as an adult. I can't stand being around most people anyways. Story 19. I live in a town of 300. There's 3 women around my age. 1 is a nice girl, but in a relationship. 1 is the town bicycle. 1 is a crackhead who takes down her husband. Story 20. I am working on myself, and I chose not to bring a headache, but I do admit I miss cuddling around 11 p.m. LOL. Story 21. Because my fiancé was too busy secretly spending all of his money on opioids instead of saving up for his half of our elopement and honeymoon. Story 22. I am the type of person who believes in meeting people naturally, either through common social circles or shared interests. I do not believe in love at first sight, nor do I approach women with the intention of dating. I would like to know them and be friends with them. And along the way, if I start liking someone, then great. If I compare my dating life to a Venn diagram, there are very few people who actually make it to the center circle, where I tend to like them and have great vibes going. The problem is, no one in this center circle likes me in a romantic way. They all love me, but either as a friend or in a platonic way. This pisses me off, but I also accept the fact that this is the kind of person I am. I don't want to give off creep energy from the get-go. Yeah, so after several rejections, here I am, single. Story 23. Difficult and grumpy character. I don't care if people like me, and I probably don't know what the word love means. No one has ever taught me that. And above all, I love the idea of love so much that the possibility of a relationship that could destroy that idea eliminate me. Story 24. Truth be told, I've been hurt too many times trying to find the right person. So at least until I think I can handle being hurt again, I'm going to sit and just hope the right person chooses me someday. Story 25. In my 30s now. Have always been single. Been asked out a handful of times in the past few years, but I avoided it. Feels too late and I don't really care anyway. Story 26. Cause. Everyone is replaceable nowadays. If you get sick or get injured or even get a vitamin deficiency or something that makes you super depressed all the time, guess who is going to see you as a burden and leave you? That's right, your GF wife. Or even if nothing about you changed, but she stumbled across someone that seems 5, 10 better than you somehow. Oops, there she goes. There's just no loyalty, no certainty. Marriage is treated like dating anymore. So for me, there's no benefit to keeping a relationship for any longer than 3 months. That's the sweet spot where the honeymoon feeling is wearing off, but you're still not attached to the point it will hurt. Answer. I mean, it can be a romantic slog to have to be a caretaker instead of a lover constantly. And I'm not talking out of my jerk. This is exactly what happened to me. I got a chronic pain condition in 2018 at the age of 28. I had been with my girlfriend for 4 years at this point. She was there for me, but in reality, I wasn't there for myself. I was terrified of being alone and in the pain I was in, and in ways put so much responsibility on her that the spark of the relationship died about 5 years later. I'm not saying our wives' girlfriends shouldn't love us through hard times. I'm inviting you to ask yourself whether or not you are doing the same for yourself then. Always something to be learned. As for why I'm still single, we still own a piece of land together, and I'm on day 1 of not being addicted to kratom anymore. I've got shoot to do with me before I'm ready to show up for someone on the regular. Story 27. I'm 15 and haven't started dating yet. I feel like I'm starting to want a boyfriend though, but am not completely focused on it RN. I wish I had waited. Story 28. I don't like feeling tethered. I need to feel free, and I haven't met anyone who I felt like they didn't want to control me, but just wanted to be with me and love me for me. Story 29. I kicked my ex-husband out 4 years ago, and I've had no desire to be in another relationship or ever live with a partner again. I've happily had a long-term FWB for almost 3 years, and I have just been focused on my teens that I have 100 of the time. Story 30. Because I recently discovered I'm a serial monogamist. My mom left when I was a baby, so discovered I was looking for a mother, not a partner. Back to the drawing board I go. Story 31. Introverted. Can't do hookups because I need a real connection before I can do the deed like that. My last relationship was with a girl who played me, love-bombed me into thinking it was real, and then broke up with me, blocked me, and ghosted me like I never mattered. So it altered the way I see love and relationships. So, yeah. Story 32. I would like it if the people I meet appear interested in me rather than me having to prove myself to win them over. So far, I just haven't met someone who I can just be myself around and have them like me. It always requires some performative dating BS, which is tiring when it feels like you're not getting anything in return. I feel like I'm begging for their affection, and as arrogant as it sounds, I know my worth that I shouldn't have to go through that. Online dating is that shoot cranked up to 11. Add in cultural fit, international relationships, financial differences, and practically everyone I've met is eliminated as a potential partner. Story 33. Depression. I've had opportunities to be in a relationship, but I turned them down because I was aware of my own red flags. I don't want to drag someone else into that dark pit of self-loathing and tragic end ideation. I'm not ready, and depression makes it feel like I'll never be, but I still try. Story 34. Introverted. Lack of social skills, hobbies that don't encourage meeting new people. I don't think I'm ugly, but I'm also not attractive enough to have someone give me a second look. The lack of confidence definitely hurts. I'm also nearing 30 and have never been in a relationship, although I at least have a stable career. But that's already past red flag territory, so I've just accepted I'm going to die alone. I'm at peace with it. Story 35. Well, the reason I stay single is multifaceted. I'm an introvert that harbors some nasty antisocial traits. I wouldn't call myself conventionally attractive. The relationships I'd witnessed growing up in my family were truly fudge awful. I'm sure there's a deep subconscious desire somewhere to seek that shootout all over again. I mainly watch and listen to both genders describe the absolute insanity of the hookup and dating cultures now. I can't feel anything, but I feel for you guys long. Story 36. Because I live in a small jerk town where I'm literally only attracted to one guy, but he's not interested in me. Story 37. Because I broke up with my ex. I loved her, and she was a good person, but we were constantly fighting over any sort of nonsense you can imagine. So breaking up was the right choice. I haven't had the energy to put the effort to get into another relationship. I've just been too busy with work, and I'd rather wait for the right person than rush it and get in a relationship with the wrong person. Story 38. Probably not feminine enough. Guys like the idea of the chill girl that plays video games and watches sports, but none ever want to stick around. Guess they just get bored of me. Story 39. Well, I was with the last girl for about 4 months, but she was recently divorced, and she decided she wanted more time for herself before rushing into anything super serious. No hard feelings. We still chat and meet up occasionally. It's been a couple months since that split, and just haven't been in a rush to get back out there. Story 40. I'm not attractive to the people I find attractive. I imagine this wouldn't be a problem if I liked men. Oh well. Story 41. Because I'm waiting for her, she doesn't feel ready. She liked me. I like her, but she says she doesn't feel ready yet. Yes, I know. However, I really wanted to be her. And before they come insecure, I know her well enough. We were friends for 3 years. So yes, I know her well enough. And it's one of the reasons why I fell in love with her. Because I know I trust her. Story 42. At first glance, I would tell you that I don't know why I exercise. I have a good physique, and I'm a good person. I would be more specific, but I'm too lazy. But I also remember that I am somewhat apathetic when it comes to the subject of relationships. Whether they are sentimental or not, I simply feel that I still haven't found someone who wants to understand me, or who at least wants something serious. But the truth doesn't worry me at all. I'm 18. Story 43. My anxiety, savior complex, and romantic brain clings into the wrong people. And I've been hurt too many times. I'm rebuilding myself again, painfully, and all I need is to be less codependent. Story 44. Still in school, so focus on studying. Not really interested in dating. I haven't found anyone attractive. Too expensive. Story 45. Because being alone doesn't scare me, and I legit enjoy it. Sometimes I actually crave it. My home is my sanctuary and safe space, and I'm not going to settle down with another human being with drama and baggage to destroy my sanctuary and safe space. So, yeah, TL, doctor, I'm content with single life. I don't need another person to make me feel whole. Story 46. I just got out of a 2-year-long relationship in which I was cheated on. I realized that I go into that relationship too soon after my divorce and didn't have time to process the divorce. Now I'm trying to process the divorce and the most recent breakup at the same time. I've decided to devote this time to myself and focus on loving myself unconditionally before I decide to date. Once I can love and accept myself, become comfortable being alone with myself and living for me, I think I'll be ready to put myself back out there. Until then, I'm trying to fill the void. It's hard, but I gotta do it or else I'll be in the same pattern I had been in. Story 47. I don't feel comfortable being in a relationship when I don't like myself. I dislike immensely that others perceive me as pretty, but I don't. Story 48. Trying to learn to love and respect myself so I can carry myself with confidence into a relationship, as opposed to being more worried about placating any future partner to stay with me in my insecurities. Story 49. I've tried countless times to get with someone, and it never worked. I worked on myself and got better to a point where people enjoyed being around me. And then I tried again and got lied to too many times, so kind of gave up for a bit. Now I'm back to looking for someone, but now I don't know too many people. And I go out, but approaching someone randomly is darn near impossible to make work. And my classes have no one I find attractive. So I just chill now, hoping there will be an opportunity. Story 50. Too much rejection sensitivity to put myself out there, and focusing on myself seems more beneficial. Story 51. As cliche as it might sound, it's peaceful, being able to take a nap whenever and not have to explain or excuse it to anyone. Story 52. A relationship is too much work for how much I'm able to give. Also, I'm fat, ugly, gay, and mentally ill. Pretty small dating pool. Story 53. Working on myself. I don't think I'm ready to be with someone. I'm still figuring out what I want from myself, let alone someone else. Also, commitment issues. Story 54. I was in love once. It ended not well, and so I don't really feel like going through any of that again. Story 55. I'm not financially stable yet, so I don't feel I deserve to date. I want to focus on getting my finances in order and getting in shape. Maybe then I'll take dating seriously. My main goal is to save $5,000 and then travel to different states and countries. I wouldn't mind staying single forever, as I prefer being alone anyway. Story 56. Not sure TBH. IGMB, I don't go out anywhere proper to meet him, and my style is not very try hard to look good, but I'm groomed well, and such LOL. Story 57. Everyone I ask says no to going out. I've come to accept as long as I live where I live, no one is going to fall for me. I'm in a rural state and no one seems to be into creative types here. Only mechanics and hunters. I'll find love someday, but silver lining, I can focus on college. Story 58. No clue at this point. Everyone I date says great things about me, but they don't feel anything for me. At this point, I'm just convinced it's never going to change. I put out the effort because I want to find someone, but I suspect I never will. Story 59. Because I'm from New Zealand and literally everyone is my cousin, and I'd need a whole family history up front just to check if we ain't related. Too much work, I'd rather stay single, thanks. Story 60. Girlfriend of 12 years left me a couple months ago. Need a little more time, but terrified of trying to find someone again. She was my first everything, and now I'm 32 having to find someone else when I've only ever done anything intimate with her. Spent a third of my life with her. Not gonna be easy. Story 61. I live in a small town where at least 15 of the town has slept with each and or share kids together. 5 are part of the LGBTQ community. 35 are out of my age bracket. 10 are convicted felons. Story 62. I'd like to have kids with someone who doesn't have kids, so I'm taking it seriously. The last person I thought was it apparently didn't feel the same, and I'm not doing that again. Story 63. The better question is, why are you partnered? Dating is usually too much work and stress. Coincidentally, I came across this right after. The man has the right idea. Kevin Durant has a fortune of $200 million and is nearing 40 years old. He has no wife, no children, no girlfriend, no hairbrush, no skincare routine, just his mom and basketball. The man truly lives a simple, stress-free life. He recently gave a rather controversial interview. This dating thing sucks. Dating causes addiction, not freedom. I like to feel free without constant emotional attachment. And when it comes to intimacy, I'd rather pay for the experience. No strings attached. He explained that being in a relationship is a lot of work. To him, it feels like a form of restriction. If things go wrong, a man can end up losing a large part of his wealth, something his partner didn't help him earn. Durant says he'd rather stay single and protect his peace of mind than risk emotional and financial chaos. Story 64. I choose to be because I didn't want to bring anybody into a hectic life, but I'm slowly getting back out there. Thank goodness life has started to settle down for me a bit. Story 65. I have very high standards for someone very average. Also, my last girlfriend cheated on me and married the guy sooner than a month after I moved out. So I've naturally sabotaged every possible relationship since to avoid feeling that unholy emptiness and sadness again. Story 66. Because everyone I've dated pretends to be someone to get with me and then stops caring once we're dating. One pretended to like similar hobbies to me and then later revealed they actually dislike X hobby or X thing. Or dating for almost a year, always clean at their house, always cleans up after themselves when they visit, and offers to do chores, etc. Then we move on together and they're a closet slob. I didn't sign up to be anyone's mom, and I'm not wasting my time on people that don't genuinely enjoy my company. I'm over it. I'm literally happier by myself. Story 67. I went on a dating sabbatical almost 3 years ago. I got tired of the empty promises, the bait and switch, the endless texting and ghosting. Basically got tired of the bullshit and found my peace. Effort given was not effort received. While I am open to dating and not being single, I am not actively pursuing it. I even deleted all the dating apps off my phone. Instead, I have immersed myself back into my favorite hobbies and taking care of myself. Story 68. I am extremely tired of liars and being walked all over. In my next relationship, I have to feel safe in all aspects, physically and emotionally. I don't think I'm going to find that in this lifetime. Story 69. I'm really attractive, and most women only want to know what having intimacy with me is like. Very few want to date me and be in a relationship with me. Story 70. I'm the crazy friend always down to kick it, and if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And I'm figuring out most people enjoy that in friendship, but in a romantic relationship, it takes a special person to understand I like the rush. And how many times a relationship started out, they liked it until I got one-track minded with something they disagree with. Story 71. Because being cheated on, told that they settled for you versus someone that wouldn't like them, and then starting to have feelings for someone just for them to tell you about a guy they like is just fudge exhausting. Story 72. Been ghosted. Girls not show up until a lady say to me, I'm sorry, I'm not physically attracted to you at all, and I don't know anyone else who will. That's when it hit me. Now I'm happy being single and just going about my own life, forging what I've been dealt with. Story 73. You get to a point where you enjoy your daily routine and just being by yourself. No lie, I remember when my ex used to ruin my day way early in the day. Story 74. There is an even more interesting question here. People asking this recursive question. Why don't you use the search function? Story 75. Making time for someone else seems exhausting from the perspective of someone outside relationships, and I'm afraid of being that guy who immediately gets emotionally hurt. Story 76. I like to fudge, and I don't trust people. Men. Would love to find my awesome queer, non-monogamous boyf, but I'm very content living and being alone. You can still want a relationship while decentering romantic relationships. Story 77. I would rather have peace in my life than take the risk of entertaining a woman that can destroy a man mentally, physically, and emotionally. Story 78. Being a male retail worker, typically working the weekends in a male-dominated mining town, really minimizes my chances of finding a partner of my choice. Story 79. I'm great, don't get me wrong, but it's hard to find people with my sense of humor IRL. Not because they don't exist, but because most real people are either annoying, boring, or both. I can handle that as friends, but I need my partner to be on my wavelength. It's hard enough to make friends, let alone find my soulmate. Story 80. Neurodivergent. Though recently some young lady flirted with me subtly at the library, but I feel like some warrior with some wooden sword trying to rescue the princess from a castle surrounded by knights with steel armor. And the princess stays at the top level when trying to approach women that I like. Story 81. Unemployment does a lot to eliminate someone's potential to find their someone, let alone their people, even if the unemployed person is pretty and willing to work. Story 82. I don't want to use the dating apps again, and I'm too shy to approach guys IRL, so I've decided to just die alone. Story 83. Too much going on personally. Don't feel like I'm in a position to be able to give someone else the attention and effort needed for a successful relationship until I get my own stuff sorted out. Story 84. I literally don't have an idea where to find a potential partner because there isn't one in my friend group, and dating apps are a no-go. Outside of that, I don't go anywhere because work drains me, and I have to do many other things for friends and family because I am essentially the system admin for like 10 people. Story 85. I don't really care about having a partner right now. Would love to as much as the next person, but I'm focusing on myself right now. Story 86. Because being alone is much easier than having to deal with people and their problems. Also, I don't like people. Story 87. It took me 48 years to find the love of my life. We broke up after 7 years together. I'll never meet anyone like her again. Story 88. BC. I don't like modern women. I like them by looking good and making effort for to put some good outfit and be seat. Story 89. Introverted. Suck at the whole small talk thing. Don't go out looking often. And staying single keeps life simple. Me, my dog, the house, and work. Story 90. After one engagement blowing up in my face, another girl I was going to get engaged to blowing up in my face, getting rejected by the first girl in years that I had a super strong emotional connection with, I'm just focusing on myself. Story 91. Because I actually want to be, for like the first time in my life after being abused for so many years. I truly haven't been able to find out who I am for myself. So why would I allow just anyone to come in and make me believe they're perfect for me, etc., you know? Story 92. Just got out of a relationship because I noticed red flags and tried to call them out, and she ignored me and put on rose-colored glasses. She got too clingy for me, and I had to end it. And now, even just friends, she's acting like we're still together. I'm going to have to withdraw further. Story 93. Genuinely not connect with anyone and only really feel intimacy attraction. Oh, and romantic repulse too for the extra spiciness. All in all, I think it's just a big pile of disassociation that intensified my already dismissive attachment style. Story 94. My fiance and love of my life passed away 5 years ago. I've just never felt emotionally capable of a relationship ever since. Story 95. I'm working on myself so that I'm capable of choosing the right person and being in a healthy relationship, as well as recognizing when a relationship isn't healthy. Story 96. Because I like married women, but once I get them, I can't date them because they're obviously cheaters. It's quite the dilemma. Story 97. My horrible personality. In all seriousness, probably because I have my own baggage and I feel like it's unfair to share or and drag someone else down with it. Story 98. I'm waiting for someone. She knows how I feel about her. She currently has a boyfriend. She has my number. I'm gonna give it 3 years. If she doesn't call me or text me, I'll just move on. Story 99. It's been a hard year. I miss her so fudge much. Story 100. High standards. Not everyone is worth all the effort for. Quality over quantity. The wrong person can get you in very wrong places in life. Plus, I'm one of those people who doesn't want to date before they get everything in their life together. LOL. Story 101. Doesn't have stable source of income. Doesn't have stable mental health. Doesn't want just to fudge type of relationship. Simple as it is. Story 102. Living in a religious state where most people are married before the age of 25 and working in a place that dating anyone would cost me my job even if it works out fine. Lack time to participate in any social events. Story 103. This question hits home for me. I will provide a lengthy, detailed answer because the reasons are many. I think my username says it all. I'm introverted, brutally honest, and the WLW community is way too sensitive to handle a masshole combat veteran with a blunt take on life. I'm a realist, refuse to sugarcoat. I believe people are responsible for their own emotional regulation. I'm basically a walking trigger warning. At the same time, what women don't see is my soft side, the private lady within. The conservative sap who refuses to swear in front of children will walk an elderly person across the road, out of reflex hold the door for anyone behind me when entering any establishment, and not be afraid to buy a homeless person a cheeseburger, sit with them on the sidewalk for a chat, and make them feel human and seen. Lastly, because it's extremely difficult to find someone in the WLW community who shares my values. Where I live, it is very hard to find someone who doesn't look like they've dyed their hair the color of a Halloween party wig, has commitment issues, is scared of the truth and would rather live in a childlike fantasy land with cancel culture, participation awards, and gender ideology. Women who will lose their minds over pronouns, burn a flag at a protest rally, but at the same time demand freedom of speech while wanting to censor everything she deems upsetting to her, like a commie. At the same time, it's very difficult to find someone in the WLW community who isn't a New Age religious zealot, disguising rights with dislike speech and bigotry, worships the ground that our president walks on, and wants to live in a rigid, heteronormative, butch-femme relationship. I'm a rare breed. I'm a free-thinking, atheist, conservative-leaning libertarian. I believe in decentralization, absolute individual freedom, and free market capitalism. In other words, I believe in concepts that died during the Wild West era. Today, you need a license or permit for everything. You can't even build on your own property without having to file paperwork. We get taxed up the wazoo, and everything is behind a paywall. We get forced into a class system with very little chances of advancement. Story 104. But for many years now, I have mentally thanked him profusely. He was an alcoholic who died last year of what I suspect was a liver-related disease. But I didn't yet know myself enough to realize that I am a person who just can't tolerate living with other people. It would have totally gone up in flames eventually. Story 105. Nobody thinks epileptics deserve love. ADHD? Aw. Lost a limb or several? Women men are lining up. Epilepsy? I'm Fudge Quasimodo, apparently. Story 106. I was single for a long time suffering neurosis. Then one day a woman asked me out and I snapped out of it. Story 107. I have a really hard time meeting new people because my city is unsafe and has awful parking. I am also very picky. Story 108. Dumped by my wife of 20 years out of nowhere last week. Now I'm 47 and living with my mom as I have nowhere else to go. I'm grateful for a roof over my head. Going through some serious trauma though. Story 109. I feel weird just thinking of approaching a stranger and telling her, you know, I think you're really pretty. Would you like to go on a date with me? I always think that she's going to feel uncomfortable. And I also think about all the possible reasons why she wouldn't want to be with me. I guess I just have very low self-esteem. It's something that I have a long time trying to fix it, but it's really hard and a very slow process. I always think if at some point I'm going to feel fulfilled, because I set these goals all the time that are like, when I get this job, I'm going to feel better with myself and be brave enough to ask to go on a date with someone that I like. Then I get the job. I feel as always and set another goal. When I have this car, when I start this skin hair treatment, when I get this amount of money, and IDK, it feels like I'm never going to feel enough for anyone. Story 110. I'm so done with dating. If my dream man doesn't knock on my front door and bring snacks, I don't even care anymore. Story 111. At first, I needed to heal from my worst and very abusive, physically, emotionally, mentally, all of them, relationship. A year or two later, it was because I wanted to improve my career personal life before re-entered the dating world. Now that I'm a step away from my dream career and my personal life is perfectly content, all the usual suspects, any known locals, either aren't viable, aren't available, or I'm not there, not interested. Dating apps aren't worth the risk of multiple hookups when you're looking for a life partner and someone to get to know before you bring them anywhere near your home. Coworkers, friends of friends, and anyone's exes are a conflict of interest. 99.9% of the time, it ends up being very messy and not worth the risk or possible loss of friendship. Singles events are kind of washed depending on location, host, and crowd. You can't trust a blind date. I promise your friends have as much of an idea of who your true love is as you do, not a single god-darn idea. That being said, my life as a girl woman has never been more peaceful, successful, or easier to navigate since I stopped making a partner dating a priority or even concern in my day-to-day. I am a strong believer that when you stop looking for something, it finds you, to sum it up. And a lot of things we want in life are often pushed away from us by us because we make them so important. Allow it to affect us if we are without. Married people wish they were single. Single people wish they were married. If you can find a way to enjoy being single and fall in love with yourself by the time love finds you, you will experience an even better version of love than most anyone else you envied before, who likely didn't have the chance to do the same. Story 112. I don't go out since I have a remote job, and even though I make good and I consider myself good looking, it's hard to find people from home. LOL. Story 113. Knew her for 30 years, married, 20 years now, divorced for 8. Just don't need someone else's shoot ever again. Happiest I've been in my adult life. Story 114. I want to focus on myself and let the love flow into my life. Did some self-reflection and realized that I was doing too much chasing. It feels almost liberating when you don't have to beg anyone for a text back anymore, and they're the ones hitting your phone up for favors, etc. But relationship-wise, I'm not looking for anything serious at all right now. Just some friends to go out with and have a good time. I'm 22 and going back to school soon, and trying to focus on that as well. I feel like I need to fix certain things about myself before jumping into a relationship with another person. Story 115. Out of shape. Don't know where or what I am doing with my future. Don't regularly meet people. I miss cuddling. Story 116. Am not perfect. Men need to be perfect. Am not a project to be fixed. Accept me the way I am. Am pretty effing awesome. But women will never find out because I can't score 100 on their 100-point checklist. Plus, I might have a red flag. Too many of those for men to keep track of. I don't date women I don't know and they don't know me. Neither wants to go through rounds of interrogations and suspicions. So we sidestep the hell if trying to date. We keep it simple. Independent individuals sharing good times and benefits. Story 117. I am not single, but if this long-term relationship in which I am ends, then I will be single, because I like the peace and quiet, and I don't like to explain myself to someone or justify my actions, or compromise, because the other might get upset. Story 118. Had an abusive partner for a few years. Looking back, I'm bummed that I didn't get out sooner, but I'm glad I got out when I did. I do not trust females anymore, or anyone for that matter. At the moment, I am so happy to live as a recluse. Story 119. Single people of Reddit. IG, the last word in that sentence should be pretty self-explanatory, lol. Well, TBH, my own abandonment wounds and attachment patterns. Story 120. Not wearing glasses and read single as simple. Like, I don't know, just trying not to be complicated. But also, I'm not a mystery. I'm a middle-aged man from the middle of the country. I'm the middle kid in my family, and I work in middle management at work. Story 121. Because he didn't show up when I needed him the most. No time to waste on people who aren't there for me when I'm always there for them. Not worth wasting my good energy on. Story 122. No friend group, can't talk to women. Bad experiences with dating apps. Too busy with work and school to bother trying. Story 123. The crushing weight of adult life and schoolwork kicking my jerk, coupled with social anxiety, getting better in baby steps. I simply have no clue where to start. Too anxious about online dating and approaching directly is just too much. And I generally have so little experience, it seems like my schoolwork is more comprehensible than what TF I have to do to make things work. Also have quite a restricted social circle RN, because many of my friends are in other places with work school. Story 124. I don't know how to get into a relationship. I kind of blame it on my parents. They made a really big deal when I was younger to not date until I could marry. So I always put people off as a teenager when they would approach me flirting or straight up saying they liked me. Now I'm a young adult. People don't do that, and I'm scared to ask people out. Honestly, one of my biggest insecurities. I'm great at making friends, but terrified of it going beyond that. Story 125. I find it difficult to feel safe enough to develop feelings for someone, and they often tend to be unreciprocated. In the past 3 years or so, I think I've only had feelings for 2 people that were unreciprocated. Story 126. Wanted to date, but I find I get into relationships too quickly. Realized medical school is probably more important than girls are in. Story 127. Keep on fumbling. Am not ugly. Quite the contrary, as I've been told. I'm just an idiot, not academically. Maybe autistic. Always get the same answer too. I just need to figure out what I'm doing wrong. Just one little piece of information to solve the puzzle. Story 128. Not by choice. I've had my head down working in a demanding career path, in a place where it's very hard for me, with mostly introvert hobbies, to meet anyone, especially with the demographics. I'm also not conventionally attractive, so I don't do online dating, but I still try to cold start conversations with people. It's been rough with the follow-through on that last one. 34 male. Story 129. I'm morbidly obese and socially isolated. Basically, there's nothing about me that women find attractive. If I lost 200 pounds, I'd at least look normal and could remove that barrier, which would make the social isolation part a lot easier to overcome. But I'm basically starting from scratch at 36 years old with zero fundamentals or knowledge about how to approach women, or even how to meet single women in the first place to approach then. Story 130. Because I enjoy my own company and the peace that comes with it. Sure, romantic company does sound great, but so does not having to justify my hobbies, interests, having downtime, and not having my vulnerabilities used against me. I've had a poor track record of relationships with women who use me as an emotional punching bag. I'm good with avoiding that potential situation again. Story 131. My wife said she didn't love me anymore and left. Didn't take her more than 4 days to find someone else to love. Hadn't even filed yet at the time. Story 132. I like being alone. I love solitude. I'm self-sufficient and self-reliant. I like my life this way. If they want a relationship with me, it better be fudge worth it. Story 133. The few people that have met my standards are already married, and I'm not chasing down a married person. That's just wrong. Story 134. After my ex and seeing how spectacular life can be with a top-tier partner, my standards for a relationship and connection has increased tremendously, astronomically. Thus, I find 99.99999 of women I meet now boring, dull, stultifying, no chemistry, no commonality. The 0.00001 I see potential in, guess what? They have options like all women do. And I get ghosted, friend-zoned, rejected every time by that small minority. So yeah, I'm fudge. Story 135. I feel like the men I attract only want me for intimacy and view dating as a way to get free intimacy workers. Along with laws on abortion right now and the political climate, I'll go towards someone, then snap back because they'll suggest something that reminds me of the unfortunate knowledge I've learned on sexism the past few years, or remind me of cases of women getting takedown in texts along the same lines the guy sends. Maybe it's sick of me, or maybe it's just me being safe. I'm 27, so also keep in mind the dating pool for me currently. Story 136. I'm on disability and can't work. I lost my car 2 years ago and live in a rural area about an hour away from the most populated area. I'm also ugly and fat. My chances of ever finding someone who is even slightly interested in me are absolute zero. Story 137. I can barely keep myself afloat. I would either not be able to provide for someone else or be someone's burden. Not happening until I get my shoot together. Story 138. Tried the whole not single thing, and it doesn't work out so well when you haven't worked out your past issues. Story 139. Trust issues and relationship OCD that manifests as a fear of betrayal. So kind of like trust issues on steroids. Being in a relationship is a constant state of mental hell and torment for me. It's like having to battle a monster inside of yourself every single day, and it is one that never leaves you alone. It rears its head even in moments meant to be special and happy. Being single is peaceful and keeps me sane. Honestly, it really sucks too because I'm a great partner aside from that. The worst part about it is that I can't get treatment for it unless being inside of a relationship. You need to do exposure therapy, and there's nothing to expose me to when I'm single. However, I don't want to be in a relationship as to not have to experience it more. Additionally, a partner is often involved within treatment and is supposed to do particular things in order to support you. It takes a lot of patience and empathy, a special person. People do seek to date me, but they have no idea, so I refuse to, so we both don't have to deal with it. Story 140. I honestly couldn't imagine doing a relationship today. It's a complete shoot show. I've had the same FWB for a couple years and it seems to work for us. Story 141. One day in the class WhatsApp group chat, she posted pictures of her newest obsession in that topic, with gore and everything added to it. She got quickly thrown out, and that was it, I thought. A week later, the school assistant, a helper for the secretary, came in and called both her and me to the principal's office. Turned out my classmates reported her to the principal, and me, because I was close to her. In the office, however, was not just the secretary and the principal waiting, but also 2 police officers, who made some big interrogation scene, showing screenshots of the chat and everything. My crush immediately went into defensive mode and said I forced her, and so we were told to get our things and come with them to the police station. There she doubled down on the whole story, while the officer who interrogated me basically was just confused. I showed him the chat with her I had. More than me asking how she is or if needs help can help me with homework, there was nothing. It continued on. He tried to find potential dangers in me over other things like my hobbies. I played an MMO at that time called Drakensang Online and watched shoot recordings of anime on YT because we didn't have Netflix. It ended with the conclusion that there is no evidence of me forcing her to send those pictures. The drive back, which was not done by the officers but by her parents. What a way to meet the parents of my now former crush. Gotta admit, that whole situation with the police made me lose all feelings for her. Back at school now, teachers wanted to interrogate us in classroom because the police officers told jack shit. So for the rest of the day, which was 15 more hours, multiple times the same shoot. Thing is, my classmates never truly believed it and made me look like some weird outsider over time. I got no friends anymore. Nobody wanted to talk to me. More importantly, they told everyone. I pushed through school, but even outside of it, maybe not the oldest people, but everyone in my age range looks at me like I am some kind of danger. I still live in this town. It's unrealistic that I will move away in the next few years. I would love to date, but I don't have money for a car or to move somewhere where I could start fresh. Maybe once I am 30 or 40. Story 142. Money. I'm barely keeping myself alive and have yet to be successful enough to take care of my parents. When I'm capable of taking care of myself, my parents, then and only then I'll try to get a girl. Story 143. Still not 100 over the last relationship, which ended last year. Dating via Tinder Hinge is just getting worse and worse. The amount of dates who just ghost you on the day of the date has increased drastically. Story 144. First girlfriend died in a car accident. Didn't date for 4 years after that. Found someone post-COVID and thought I was on a better track this time. Got ghosted out of nowhere when her visa cleared for travels. It was brutal because I really did numb with her. Well, mentally, physically, emotionally. All while this was happening, someone I wanted but couldn't date in the past because of the over-involved bitch. If a friend she bad got married, she has a kid now. BWA. 3 strikes and I was out. Maybe I'm cursed. Maybe this is what's there for me. It is what it is. I'm tired of it all. Story 145. Spent a long time focused on my career. Tried the apps. Found out I don't handle rejection well at all. And I also struggle to find men I connect with. I'm also in my early 40s and not as cute as I once was. Story 146. Only just recently got my mental state in a good place a year and a half after being dumped out of an 11-year-long relationship with someone I thought was the one. I have no clue where to even begin, TBH. Story 147. I cannot socialize without drinking excessively. Had to quit due to health issues, so I don't see anybody. I doubt I will meet the one while grocery shopping with headphones in. Most of all, though, I really value my solitude. If someone demanded my energy and time constantly, I would be a husk. For now, I think it's important that I take my time to regain my health and physical fitness. Getting there. Once I have more confidence in my figure, it might be a different story. Story 148. Single by choice. And I'm not against relationships, but I'm not actively looking for them or willing to jump into one unless the person is perfect for me. Being single gives me time to love myself. Story 149. Risks outweigh benefits. The older I get, the less willing I am to compromise. Still miss some things about being in a relationship. That's not a euphemism for intimacy. Actually, the opposite. I have also arrived at the conclusion that some people are not good at relationships, and some people relationships are not good for them. And I think I'm in both groups, so better for me and everyone else to just be content as I am. Story 150. Shy and quiet but pretty, so everyone thinks I'm a meanie when I'm not. Also, I have baggage, and I'm in a small town that I'm not from myself, so that actually goes against me. Story 151. The people who I like don't like me back, and the people who like me I don't like back. It's a sad, ironic situation. Story 152. Social anxiety and I still have to make the first step, but I understand it can be a burden, so I need to overcome it first. Story 153. I would get along fine with a girl, go on dates, hanging out, kiss and more, but it always ends up fizzling out in the early stages because I can't seem to open up, no matter how much I like her or how much she likes me back. Story 154. My mom never showed me love, and since I was 4, she traumatized me with physical harm, passing threats, and at once bloodily punishing me. Because of that, I grew up learning to put myself down and expecting the worst outcome at every corner. And not having experienced love firsthand makes it impossible for me to accept that other women could love me and I'm a lovable person. To me, even the concept of someone having a crush on mellowing me is a concept that I can't wrap my head around. Story 155. I don't care about or can even stand most people. Am very introverted. Also very much in my own world and busy with my hobbies. For me, it's like I have exception people, like very few that I can actually have empathy and love for, but that rarely happens. So I stay by myself, which I'm also happy with. Story 156. Although people seem to be accepting to have me as a friend, it seems I do not possess any qualities that make attractive for more than that. Story 157. Got cheated on by my girlfriend of 5 years. I wasn't perfect and made my fair share of mistakes. I know we were going through a rough patch. I just never imagined she'd do that. Miss her but don't want her back. Can't seem to feel anything with the girls I go out with. It's been 2 years. I guess I'm still healing, trying to work on myself, slowly just becoming secluded. Story 158. Focused on my job and buying a house. I've bought said house now, so I'd love to meet someone to share it with. How disappointing it is when I reach the point I want to meet someone that all the apps become really superficial or full of bots or women selling OnlyFans content. Upsetting to say the least. Oh well. Story 159. Trust issues, people in general. But I work, which I count as socializing, which hinders any concept of a social life. But I'm in therapy, and I'm working on building the courage up to ask people from work to chill. Story 160. Woman I was dating yelled at me for picking some bell peppers with too many blemishes. I bought them so I could cook us a meal. Then that same day she yelled at me for reacting incorrectly to a TikTok she showed me. Then the next day she yelled at me for calling her while she was at work. She had given me her work number the day before and had spoken about how cute it was when her coworker's boyfriend called her at work. Thought it was a hint. So when I asked her to have a conversation so I could express that the level of conflict was growing to be too much and making me feel small, she started yelling at me. So I dumped her right then and there. I haven't started looking for someone new. I just don't need all that right now. Story 161. Can't find a nerdy girl who loves video games, anime, pervy and non-pervy. Also, dislike, no despise text. Can't stand long drawn-out texts. Just give a simple one. Story 162. Depressed and trying not to drown between bills. Rent low-income jobs while trying to get promoted. A better job elsewhere. Classes and qualifications through night or online classes. I'm trying to hold on to so many threads at once that social life is not an option. Story 163. I have had things happen that can unfortunately be a deal breaker. Don't think anyone would want to be with someone who had a kid taken from them, even though it was 15 years ago. And I'm told constantly it wasn't my fault. My mental health was so bad I couldn't look after him. I still have people saying there has to be something more to it, which puts me off trying. Story 164. I know what a good and secure relationship feels like, and I don't want to settle for less or to be in a relationship for the sake of it. I've done that before, and eventually we resent each other. Love. Real love is a more rare thing than people care to admit, and I am willing to wait for genuine love. Story 165. I'm disabled and don't drive or have much income. Also in a city where I don't know many people and everything's car dependent. It's not impossible to connect with people, but it does make it harder, especially consistently. Story 166. Trust issues. Rejection in relationship itself. Denial of intimacy. Attention seeker. Partner, one who requires validation. Story 167. I made a commitment that I take seriously. My partner didn't. I have trouble going back on my word, but I'm sure eventually I will start again. It's not because of lack of opportunity, just what marriage meant to me. Story 168. I guess I'm not attractive enough, LOL. I posted a Hinge profile review the other day for anybody that wants to give me a honest, no BS rating. Story 169. Simple. I'm undesirable, I think. Honestly, I don't know for sure because I've asked so many times and have never gotten a definitive answer, so I can only speculate. The way women treat me taught me to leave them alone, though. I've learned I'm not attractive and I have no intimacy appeal, so I don't bother anymore. I've been ignored and rejected enough to know I'm wasting my time. Story 170. I don't approach. I care too much for my ego, and I'm willing to die for it, to be honest. Girls are mostly copycats of other girls. I need a nerdy freak with philosophical tendencies with some trauma, but not drama. It's hard to find, so what's the point? Story 171. Too lazy and poor. My dating was 10 years ago, people, and myself are too different to approach each other in any meaningful way. Also, despite not exactly being successful or attractive anymore, I'm content with who I am, and I don't want to risk that for someone who's just going to inevitably cheat on me or deem